the thing is that like time means fucking nothing to me at this point. Like it, especially that time, like COVID was so strange in that like we existed in our tiny little apartment bubble, and in our tiny little apartment bubble, we like would watch shit like whatever, blah blah blah.
Watched so much fucking TV.
But like, well, and fucking you went through all the Marvel movies and stuff,
all of them,
and
then
it's
that
like,
was when like WandaVision and everything was.
Yeah, exactly. And I just remember the beginning of it. I remember the like. I remember the minutia of like being in the middle of all of it and stuff. Like I built my fucking computer. Like all that stuff happened in that time.
I just remember the first like week and a half of it. It just rained.
Yeah. So it wasn't that bad.
We couldn't go anywhere, dude. I just can't believe that was that long ago.
Well, the thing is that it simultaneously feels so long ago and not that.
And
long
also
ago.
like yesterday.
Yeah. It like I feel like I am always like looking back on things and saying like, oh, that was like a couple months ago, and someone's like, that was a fucking year ago.
It was like 8 months ago.
Yeah, and like, especially in that time, it was all the days blurred together. Yeah, it was a lot. And what's funny is we're not saying anything different than anybody else is saying.
Nope,
about
everybody says the same shit.
But it like what's funny is that it's a shared experience that everybody on Earth had, but it broke the fuck out of some people. Like, well, and like, I mean, obviously I didn't like it. I didn't want to be stuck at home every single day, but can you imagine like not even just, it's anybody. If I couldn't imagine if I was like home in Marietta, like with my parents or my family, love them to death, love my family, love my brother, love my, parents.
How
like,
long was it? The shutdown, like 3.5 months, 2.5
the
months?
shutdown? Are you kidding me? It was like half a year, dude. Like if not more, because we were, it happened. It started in a week after Nashville was hit by the tornado.
I remember that.
And everybody was like still reeling from that. And then it was like St. Patty's Day and everybody wanted to get fucked up and stuff.
I remember
and
when
then it was like
home
the day
from a
after.
party after we went to like a St. Patrick's Day party and somebody had hugged you and you were like, you were really upset about it.
Oh, I was livid. I was literally telling this story the other day. I was so mad. And
because you said, I don't even remember who it was, whoever it was, you were just like, please don't do this. And they did it anyways.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of people in my personal space. It's just I don't know why I'm not a fan of it, but I don't like people touching me when I don't want them to touch me. If I give the go ahead, exactly. I want to consent to people touching my body, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And if I get called a pussy because of it, that's insane. Like I think that's crazy. So. Anywho, I remember that very well because I was so like I was keeping up with all the headlines and stuff about it because I remember
sitting and watching the like case counter ticker with you.
Yes, yeah, because our mutual friend Annalisa Rotella, and I don't think she's gonna have a problem with me saying this. I remember the night of the tornado. That night we were writing with our friend Tyler Bank, and she was talking about like her and her husband getting, or not her husband, then her fiance at the time, them getting married and going on a honeymoon to Italy. And I was like, look, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to be, because
this is going to happen.
It's not going to happen because look at this. And I just showed her, the map, and it looked like it had chicken pox. And she was like, well, we're trying to like keep our hopes up. And I was like, that's stupid.
You
Keeping your
should let
hopes
your
up
hopes
is
go.
for idiots. No, I'm just kidding. I felt terrible because I was like, oh my God, I'm ruining this girl's honeymoon before she even goes on it. But it was within a week or so that, like, you know, everybody was locked down, especially Italy and wherever. And it was just something that no one ever expected to happen in our lifetime or ever. You know, even though, you know, there were plenty of people who predicted it and like had steps to like avoid what happened and all that stuff, but it was not followed. Whatever. And that's COVID for anybody who wasn't alive in the last 3 years to know what happened during COVID. Well,
this is an interesting way for us to start the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. We'll fade in because people will just listen to all of that. Who cares?
Yeah, fuck
it'll be a different way to start the episode.
Exactly.
Have you ever listened to the show before? You can say no.
No, I definitely have. I'm trying to remember back when there was a co-host.
Oh yeah, that was you probably heard it in the old days.
Yes, yeah, days. Back in the day. Back in the day.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Zayne Parmiter to the show.
Hello. I know you've all been waiting for this, so it's a
Zayne and I
ears.
used to be roommates. We were roommates during COVID. We shared a very, very small 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom.
Yeah.
And you probably heard me recording the early episodes of the podcast with Mike Dunbar.
Yes, Mike Dunbar. Oh my God, I cannot
believe
when
we did everything over Zoom.
Yes, I definitely remember that. I remember you even recording music in your room.
I definitely did that.
But
shouting into the microphone.
Yeah. But it was, you know, it was small. Honestly, that apartment, I honestly like missed the location of that apartment. And that area, like east, is just so chill. It's such a walkable area too.
Right.
That like, you know, I could get my 10,000 steps in, no problem. And now I live in Donaldson, and if I want to get my 10,000 steps in, I might get hit by a truck. Like, it's not fun. But yeah, no, I really liked that apartment. We had such a good spot, and we had such a big front yard that we
that was my favorite part. We sat out there and drank a lot of beer.
Oh yeah, especially during the pandemic.
Social distance beer outside.
Yes, and people would come over and we'd hang out and chat and stuff. That was the best part of it, honestly.
I kind of look back on it fondly. Like, it was a scary thing that happened in the world, but it's like, it was pretty sweet. We just sat outside and drank beer, and then we watched movies. I remember one day, I think we probably watched like 6 Marvel movies.
Oh yeah.
It's like back to back to back to back
for sure.
back to back.
But but like, as much as it was nice to like, I don't know, like it felt like the whole world was taking a break. I was also like, I say this all the time, but I have a chronic case of cabin fever, and it is incurable. And I was just, after a while, I just got so antsy. And I remember one day I just woke up so early in the morning, and I just threw a whole bunch of shit into the back of my car, and I just started driving out west. And I drove to, I think that was when I drove to Wyoming. That's not when I drove to Arizona or anything, but good Lord, I mean, in that time in COVID, I did 3 trips out west, and each time I put
just
like
to be away.
Yeah. But each time I put like 3,000 miles on my car. I got it in like 2019, and by like 2020 or 2021, I had almost like 50,000 miles on it because I was just going back and forth between like here in Arizona or here in Wyoming or Montana, and like
all over.
I loved those times. That was very fun, but it was also like
when gas cost $1.50.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
When you could drive to Arizona for $40.
Exactly. And I was just sleeping in the back of my car like a fucking homeless person. Like it was really chill. But it was also, like you said, like it was a weird time, but it was, I don't know. I hopefully nothing like that ever happens again.
Hopefully.
But
every time a new virus strain comes up on the news and they're talking about it, I'm like, this isn't it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not doing this again.
Yeah. I'm not interested in ever doing it again, but I like the collective experience of everybody having to like not do anything.
It was a perfect
I didn't
excuse
feel
to get
alone.
out of anything. Also,
that's true too.
As soon as you decided, you're like, oh, I don't really want to go over to their house, or I don't want to go out this weekend. You're like, oh, sorry, I'm just.
Yeah, I don't. It was either I've got COVID or I don't want to get COVID. Like I don't want to risk
nobody
it.
Argued with it for quite a while.
Yeah,
you're like, all right, this is fine, man. So I start every episode these days by asking if you remember how you and me met. Do you remember?
I do remember.
Tell the story.
I was at the oh my God, Rose's Bar. What the hell?
Belcourt Taps.
Belcourt Taps. I was at Belcourt Taps.
R.I.P.
And I was there for probably tour stop, and I introduced myself to you and your co-host then at the time. It's like I'm always coming in after the co-host or whatever, but and I pitched the idea of like rebranding tour stop and everything, and I like got your information. I think I even asked like, oh, and also like
also I'm a
could
songwriter.
I play like whatever, being real fucking schmaltzy about it, but I think that was the first time that we met each other. I think that would have been
like fall of 2018.
Yeah, and I think that same day is when I met Tyler Bank as well.
Tyler
Bank,
I
think he played. I was like, hey, your songs were really good. Would you like to write sometime? And blah 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 blah.
So what we haven't mentioned yet is Zayne is actually the guy who designed the Nashville Tour Stop logo, the one everybody knows and loves, the classic highway sign that looks like an acorn.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, ever since that first time you told me that, the day we were picking the logo, you said it kind of looks like an acorn, and it says NTS. It's like looks like it says nuts.
Yeah,
it's like I have never forgotten.
Yeah,
that.
once you see that, you can't
unsee it. So but, I feel like I just ruined it for everybody.
Well, and you might have, but that's totally fine. I think like, you know, based off of like what you had said about the brand and like what you wanted it to be at the time and everything, like it was the thing that made the most sense. I mean, I had obviously like a bunch of different options, and
I still have that original PDF file.
Yeah. We went through like 2 or 3 different rounds of like logos and everything. And I just kept coming back to like a highway sign or something to do with a highway or whatever. And yeah, no, it stuck.
Is this the first time anybody's ever gotten a neon of something you've designed?
Well, definitely a neon, but not the first time anybody's gotten a sign of a logo that I did. I did a logo for a restaurant in my hometown.
Where are you from?
I'm from Marietta, Ohio. And there was a restaurant there named Joe Mama's Place or Joe Mama's House or something like that, or Joe Mama's, I think is really what it was. And they needed a logo, and I ended up designing that and like designing the interior of their place and stuff. And it was really cool. But they had obviously had a sign made for the restaurant. Cause like if they didn't,
that's cool.
It would just be it would look like a creepy old building. So like whatever. But definitely the first neon sign. And I'm looking right at it, so that's why we're kind of talking about it.
I do currently have the neon sign hung right behind me. We're still recording in my living room for the time being until we get a new podcasting studio here where we're just recording in the comfort of my home. And Zayne's actually sitting in his leather chair.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize that this was my chair.
We and Zayne lived together for a couple of years, and when we moved out of our old apartment, you didn't want it anymore, and I had no furniture.
Oh,
I sat in that chair for like 6 months here in this place until I could afford to buy a couch.
For anybody listening, I have been here for about an hour and a half sitting in this exact chair, and he just pointed it out, and I just realized, which shows how observant I am.
You're sitting in something that
something that I had in fucking college that like my ass has probably made an imprint in this thing. And I didn't realize it. I sat down and was like, oh, this is pretty comfy. And I didn't even think about it.
You didn't realize that the reason it's comfy is because it's got your ass print in it.
Absolutely bananas. I mean, hell, even when we lived together, this was like this was against that wall.
Yep.
You would sit on the couch and I would sit in this chair sometimes.
And we'd have the TV right there in front of us.
Oh my God, that is bananas. I cannot believe, honestly, like, I can't believe
You're floored right now, aren't you?
I am.
I honestly am surprised that you didn't notice.
I'm couched is what I am. I'm not sitting on the floor. I'm sitting on the couch. But yeah.
So when did you said you were from Marietta, Ohio. When did you first move to Nashville?
Oh boy. I think it was like 2017, 2018, something like that. I lived in Columbus. I went to school in Columbus for graphic design, and I moved, or I lived there. I got a job right out of school, and I lived there for like 6 or 7 years, and then moved to Nashville because I had wanted to be there ever since I was in college, and I just never made the move. But I constantly said to people all the time, fuck this, I'm moving to Nashville. Like, blah, blah, blah. And it just happened so many times that I started referring to myself as the boy who cried Nashville because I just didn't
you
move
write a song
forever.
using that phrase before?
I did. Yeah, that was a little plug. No, that wasn't a plug because I'm not releasing that song. But
what's that song called?
Oh,
do you remember? Because I remember hearing you sing it, but I don't remember what the title of it is.
Yeah. Oh, it was. It's called A Good Place to Start, and it was about being at rock bottom and how I couldn't go any lower, and that this was a pretty good place to start, like, because you can't go lower than that. So that was the idea, and the idea I think about like how I worked the Nashville thing into it was like, I don't know anybody, and
did you move here
I have
completely
no
blind?
Yeah. I didn't know anybody that lived here. I found out a few weeks in that I had some acquaintances from back home that I, didn't really know that well, that lived here. And I still don't really like hang out with them or talk to them that much. Only when we run into each other, which is seldom. But yeah, it was pretty much completely blind. And my brother helped me move down. We drove, I drove the U-Haul. He drove my car. We came down here, or maybe it was the other way around. And we came down here. We moved my stuff in and whatnot. But then he went off to Afghanistan like afterwards.
Oh God. I think I've only met your brother one time. It was probably while you and I were living together.
Yeah. I think my dad and my brother might have come.
They slept in our living room, right?
Yeah, something like that. I vaguely remember that. Vaguely remember that.
Was music in Nashville always the plan, or was this just kind of a I'm tired of Columbus situation?
Oh, it was all of the above, which is another song of mine. No, it was. So I've always loved country music, and I've always loved like just any form of expression and stuff, and creative expression. And my when I was in college, I was trying to decide like what the hell I wanted to do, and I switched my major like 3 or 4 times, and finally landed on graphic design. And at some point, I don't even know when, but it clicked to me like, oh, hey, I could take my love of music and I could apply it, and my love of graphic design, and I could mix the two, move to Nashville, and design album artwork for people and merch and whatnot. and I could maybe, make a living doing that and also like writing and playing music and stuff. That was the dream when I was a stupid junior.
Honestly, having good design work in Nashville is not as prevalent as we would like it to be.
Well, here's the thing. And while I agree,
the number of times I have seen papyrus on somebody's album artwork breaks my heart.
Well, you can thank James Cameron and Avatar for that. One of his $1 billion movies. But no, I think that what's funny is that would not be a topical reference at all. Like it would not matter at all. But he released an Avatar movie this year, and that's crazy. Well, I guess it was technically last year. It doesn't matter. Anyway, but I agree that there's not a whole lot of good design, whether that's professionally or independent artists or whatever. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of bad design. But I would say that the reason there's not is not because people are just bad or whatever. Like a lot of artists aren't, I guess, educated in that realm of things. I think everybody can look at something and say whether it's good or bad.
Do you remember the episode of The Office where Andy says that he's going to be an art critic? He's like, this painting is bad.
Bad. Yeah, exactly. Like,
or a food critic. This food is bad.
Everybody has the capacity to like look at some sort of art, or I guess even listen to some sort of art and gauge whether it's good or bad.
All things have like a basic aesthetic, like an aesthetically pleasing look to them.
Yeah. And everybody has their own style and what they prefer and like whatever. It's like if you can objectively look at something and say whether it's good or bad and not just base it off of your own opinions or likes or whatever, that's like, I think a trick that a lot of people don't, or like, I guess like a skill a lot of people don't have. And I'm not even saying that I do, because my opinions on things are different from other people's and whatever, but I can objectively say things are good or objectively bad because of A, B, and C or whatever, compared to other things that are objectively good. But yes, I would say like, my idea when I was in school was like, oh, like I'll just, I'll get really good at design and I'll like go to Nashville and just like, be a really good designer and, end up designing for people like Brad Paisley or, whoever at that time. But that was very far from the case because I was either too scared or too dumb to move here or whatever, and didn't. But I'm actually glad that I didn't, because in that time that I was in Nashville, not Nashville, but Columbus, I started doing a lot of open mics and like getting used to just being in a crowd, because like I was just writing and playing for myself and
just
and
like
stuff.
That atmosphere of live music.
Yeah, exactly. And testing the waters to see like, is this something I even actually really like, or do I just like listening to music? And lo and behold, being the center of attention was something that I loved. And I, ate it up whenever people were like super into the songs that I was playing. And it was, I don't know, I'm glad that I did that, because coming to Nashville, I already had songs that I had written for open mic nights and stuff that like I was able to just like start playing, and people liked those songs and asked
me if I wanted to hit the ground running with. That's something a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that come into town and they'll come to writers' rounds and they'll ask, they'll ask like, would you like to write? And they may not have anything that they can show you that's like
good,
worth you being, whatever. Yeah. Or even not even good, but just anything to show you. And that's totally fine. Everybody starts somewhere, whatever. But I was much more confident in my own abilities because I took that time to like, not even, I don't want to use the fucking term hone my craft because like vomit, but I took some time to like just find out who I was and what I wanted to do and like the kind of music that I liked and stuff, so that when I came here, it was pretty ingrained. And I already kind of knew what I wanted, the kind of music that I wanted, but like sitting down and actually writing it is totally different from like thinking about it or whatever. And I just remember like even playing my first rounds in
you remember
Nashville,
where you played
like,
your first round?
Okay. So I remember the first time I played in Nashville was at Douglas Corner and played exactly. I played the like open mic there.
We actually broadcast a few of our podcast episodes here recently live from the Douglas Corner's new name, now called the Eighth Room. We recorded a few episodes there.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah. I actually did not know that
it's a new venue, brand new.
Been updated. Okay. All right. But that tells you I live in Donaldson because I haven't even been in that area other than I went to Zayne's one night.
At least you don't have to go to the Murder Kroger to get your groceries anymore.
Yeah, baby. So the first round I think that I ever played, it was either Nashville Tour Stop or it was like some random ass round at like Doghouse or something. Okay. But I don't know if I don't remember being nervous. I don't even know what no, you know what? It was neither one of those. It was Spencer's round.
Oh, the whiskey business at Alley Taps.
No, not even that. No, it was when he played around, or no. I made a friend at Douglas Corner. She was playing around downtown at
Poncho and Lefties.
Yes, exactly. Poncho and Lefties. And I asked Spencer if I could play. And I played with somebody else, like whatever, a few weeks later. And that was the very first round. There were like people there eating, but they were not there to like pay attention to.
There are people that were present
or whatever.
They were tolerating the live music.
Exactly. And it was honestly a little disheartening, but at the same time, it was fun because I was meeting people and like making friends, and like it weirdly felt like high school or college again. Like I think one of the best
where you're making friends as an adult and you're like, oh, this is what that feels like.
Yeah. Well, it's like I had seen, memes and stuff about it, about like making friends as an adult is hard, but it wasn't when I came here because the environment and the culture of like songwriting
to all of that
is so like dependent on you making friends with people that it was so easy. And for years I was intimidated by the thought of moving here because I am not trained musically at all. Like when I
self-taught, right?
When I record music and stuff, like people are like, yeah, we're coming in on like the downbeat of like the seventh measure or something. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying to me. You could be speaking Spanish
like,
and I think I would understand.
Give me a 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
Now.
I'm going to need you to point at me when I need to come in and I'll start singing. But like, I was so intimidated by stuff like that. And when I got here, it could not have been further from that idea or that, that fear.
We all come in with that, like, we're like children lost at sea. And then Nashville is just the boat that finds everybody. It's like, here's your rescue line.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, definitely. And I would say that like there is I think everybody on the planet deals with this, but like just imposter syndrome and feeling like you don't belong somewhere, or that like people are going to find out that you're a fraud or whatever. And I think I was like so worried about that like it stopped me from moving here and stuff. And I think I even still get afraid of that, like when I'm doing things.
I still do.
But like the fact that like, that everybody's going through that. I think that like gives you some solace in the worry.
It's like COVID all over again. It's just this big communal experience. It's like nobody knows what's going on.
Exactly. And
at least we are all not knowing what's going on together.
Exactly. And I think that like, any of those fears were immediately just like stomped out by like how warm and welcoming people are, because as I'm putting this in quotations, as big as a town as Nashville is, it's a really small town.
Really, really small town.
And everybody pretty much knows everybody, or somebody knows somebody that knows you or somebody else. And if you get a bad reputation, it's going to like just seep into everything. And people are going to know that you're either a pill to be around or whatever. And it's not to say like come here and fake being a nice person or anything, but it's like, like it was because everybody here is like so nice and so, cheers everybody on, and everybody is each other's cheerleaders. Like it was so cool to like, for that to like, smash any like fear I had of this
see
place.
Your friends do the thing they came to town to do.
Exactly.
Because as soon as all of these people, like we were just talking about Spencer Jordan. Spencer early on, I remember going to his rounds and he was booking this like short-ish, wore big platform shoes, girl named Taylor. And it's Gail. It's Taylor Gail.
Yeah.
She was nominated for a Grammy. I think her song has been streamed. ABCDEFU is streamed like over 1 billion times on Spotify. Like, she was just another kid that was part of this little bubble that we lived in. And that's what's so sweet is because all of a sudden our friends are just rock stars.
For sure. And it's like, there will be people that will be like jealous or upset about that. But like at the same time, like you gotta not be in that like mindset, because it either happens or it doesn't. And I feel like anybody that comes here has to have that thought in the back of their mind. Not like saying like you're going to fail if you come here or something, but being open to the fact that like it may not work out, like whatever. And for the people that it does work out for, you can choose to be salty and grumpy and pissy and a bitch about it, or
you can be excited that your friends are getting to do cool stuff
and be happy that it worked out for somebody. And I don't know,
we just got really deep.
What I love, no, but like what I love about like these kind of like just, podcasts that are just, conversations is just how like winding and weaving they are. Like, I don't even know where the fuck this started. This started with
COVID.
Yeah, maybe, I guess. And now we're here. Like, it's really weird. I don't know, but it's fun.
Well, hey, let's take a quick break, and we'll come right back with the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. And we're back with the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. My former roommate, Zayne Parmiter, sitting in my current home with me now.
I'm not your roommate now, but yeah.
I remember telling you, I was like, I'm going to buy a condo. And you're like, do you need a roommate? It was like, it's too small.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very, I mean, we could put up adult bunk beds.
And have so many rooms, or so much room for activities.
If you decide you do want to be bunkmates again, I'll have to take some of the shit out of my bedroom.
Perfect.
But you're recording new music right now, Zayne.
I mean, it's recorded. I'm done with it.
It is all, at least the playing of it is done.
Yes, and it's coming out pretty soon and stuff, and it's the the first time that I've ever recorded anything and put anything out.
What was that process like compared to like what you'd probably built up in your head?
Well, so back when I was in high school and I first learned 3 chords, my friend Gentry taught me A, D, and E on the guitar, and
you don't need much else.
Yeah, exactly. And he said the same thing, but I was just like hooked on it ever since he taught me that. And a friend of a friend, their parent like gave me my first guitar and everything, and I just got super absorbed into it when I was in high school, and I recorded some music at home, like at this little like guitar shop called Third Street Music. Shout out, hashtag Third Street Music, Marietta, Ohio. And I, recorded songs that I wrote, and I would like get a few CDs printed. I'm aging the fuck out of myself. But I got CDs printed, and I gave them to like my family and a couple like close friends and whatnot. And every once in a while, one of my friends or somebody will find those CDs that I made, and they will like send them to me.
You're like,
and
hey,
I'm
bud,
like,
guess what I found?
So embarrassed by them because I know how shitty they are. Like, I know how bad the songs are and stuff. But anyway, this process of like recording this new music was so fun and so different from that because.
And it's your first time working with a professional producer, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I recorded in Marietta when I was like 17 or whatever, it was just me, my guitar, and my brother and my sister singing like backup for me or whatever in the same room.
The Parmiter family band.
Exactly. But I was the center of attention because I was the oldest child, the golden child. Anyway, no, but going into these recording sessions, I recorded at Vibe Studios with Andrew King. I can't say enough good stuff about him. He was such a collaborative force when we were, putting these songs down and everything. And he had so many ideas and different takes on music that I had heard in my head like for years or months or whatever, and it was just really refreshing and so fun. And I think like what we ended up coming up with just like sounds so good, and I'm super proud of like the work that we've done together. And I'm really excited for people to hear it and everything. It's a giant step from
this will be your first release as an artist.
Yeah, and like I was gonna say, like it's gonna be a giant step above like just me recording with my guitar, my brother and sister in a tiny little guitar shop. But part of me does miss
at least
that,
we
like,
know the
acoustic
artwork
side.
for it will be impeccable.
Well, yeah, so duh. Like that's the thing. It's like if the music's shitty, if you think that, like you can't say that the album art is bad.
I've bought albums specifically because they had cool art before.
Definitely.
It's a thing.
Definitely. People, I mean, it, one of the most like obnoxious things is like, don't judge a book by its cover. But as a designer, I would be out of a job if people didn't judge books by their cover, because that's what you do. We all do that.
We all judge
We're
books
all
by their
shallow
cover.
pieces of shit. No, I'm just kidding. You're not a piece of shit. You're wonderful and people love you.
So you said you're doing 4 or 5 songs. How many is it?
I am doing 5 songs. There's going to be an EP sometime in the late summer that I'm putting out. I have 3 songs that I'm putting out before that are going to be on the EP. So 2 that
those will be singles to release, promoting up to this larger release.
Yeah. And the first one that I'm putting out is called Wonder Woman, that I wrote with the melodic angel Annalisa Rotella. She is absolutely wonderful, and she helped me. I had this idea.
Honestly,
for the song.
She's a Wonder Woman.
Oh my God, she really is. Yeah, straight up. But she, I had this idea that I brought to maybe, I don't know, it had to be like 8 or 10 other writes, and people were like, oh, that's a cool idea. But like whatever. And we either went with something else or whatever. But I shot it to Annalisa, and she was just like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Like, let's do this. And I, I'm very excited for it. If anybody wants to hear like snippets of it or anything, you can probably find it on my Instagram. It's, is there a big enough outlet in this place for this plug that I'm about to do? My Instagram is Zayne's World, ZAYNES_world. Somebody has just regular Zayne's World with a Y for some reason. It's Instagram, whatever. You can find stuff there, TikTok too, all that stuff. So
that's a great place to find his stuff. It's also a great place to find pictures of Wyoming.
Oh yeah. Travel photography is like just so cool to me. Like I love, photography just in general, obviously is a wonderful like medium. It's beautiful. But like when I'm traveling, like obviously I can remember like things in my head, but just having those landscapes and the vistas that like I visit and stuff like is just such a cool reminder when I see them like pop up on my phone, or if I'm like going through my Instagram to just like
it's a nice reminder of stuff you've done and things that you've created in the past.
Definitely. Like I've got this picture of this bison that was like right next to my car. Like I was driving through Wyoming, and I was in Yellowstone, and I was stopped in this line of cars, this, traffic, everybody fucking hates it. And I didn't know why we were stopped, but I just happened to like look to my left, and there was a bison just grazing right next to the road. And I just grabbed my phone and slowly took a picture of it. And I was like, it was a beautiful photo, and it was like just a cool moment. And I was like, this is the best traffic I've ever sat in. And lo and behold, I found out the reason, was because
the only traffic you're going to hit in Nashville is like a Dodge Durango that's on fire.
Yeah, something like that. But like, that was not the case here in Yellowstone. It was the herd of bison that was crossing the road that made everybody stop. But yeah, I just, I love taking photos of beautiful places. So,
well, Zayne, thank you for being on the podcast this week. I know we could honestly do exactly what we've done today, sit and talk for 5 hours almost. Hell yeah. But we'll have you on again when you and I can dive deeper into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, hell yeah.
We have a lot of thoughts.
I'll nerd out on that shit. I don't give a shit.
Well, Zayne, can you give us your plugs one more time where we can find you, your design work, and your music and everything?
Yeah. I am on, let's see, my design website is zparmiter.com. Somebody took zaneparmiter.com. Like, who the fuck does that? That's insane. Anyway.
Fuck you, Zayne Parmiter.
Yeah, exactly. They stole it, and now I got to pay like GoDaddy like $520. And I'm like, no, thanks. Don't care about that. Anyway, I'm on Instagram. That's usually where I'm posting the most, I guess, because I'm an old person.
We're both old people now.
It's Zayne's World.
Oh, our 30s.
Yeah, exactly. Zayne's_world. And that's my handle. And then on TikTok, I believe it's the same deal. Like I'm just, I think I'm Zayne's World.
Yes, it is a note to Wayne's World.
Yeah, exactly. Love that show. Mike Myers, not the murderer, but the comedian. Great.
Well, Zayne, thank you for coming on the podcast this week. Y'all, thank you for listening. I know that this has been a long one, and actually, I don't actually have any idea how long it's been. I feel like it could have been an hour and a half or 17 minutes.
It could have been, 2.5 hours. I don't give a shit. I'll talk to you.
We've been here for a while, just bullshitting. But please follow all of the Nashville Tour Stop social media platforms at Nashville Tour Stop. You can find us on the web at NashvilleTourStop.com. We've also got our complete events calendar there as well. If you'd like to come meet me live,
do it. Regret
I had a guy fly down from New Jersey once because he listened to the podcast. He came to a show.
Oh, damn. For real?
We got people out there. You're listening. Thank you for being there.
That is badass.
And
That's awesome.
If you'd like to support the Patreon, if you'd like to help contribute to us getting out of my living room, I know that we'd all appreciate that.
I mean, I find it cozy, so whatever.
It's cozy.
I'm in my couch.
You got your old chair. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening this week. We'll be back here next week with more random ass chatter. Who the hell knows what's going to come up? But until the next time, please do remember that all roads lead right back here to the Nashville Tour Stop.